Hey guys, Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. This is part 5 in the Getting Prepared series. Again, it's something a little different than I normally do. Normally, I have 3 episodes a week. Episodes usually run an hour to an hour and a half. We do interviews and we do deep dives into preparedness topics. But while I'm gone on vacation, I decided to do a bunch of these shorter 15-minute shareable episodes all about getting prepared because people are always coming to me saying, "Hey, Tim, I'm nervous. How do I get started? What do I do?" And I thought this would be a great time to put that together. So I hope you enjoy this. We've already dealt with food, we've dealt with water, we've dealt with documentation and planning, and fuel and backup power. And today we're going to talk about first aid and health. And you're going to see some crossover in this episode from episode 2, where we dealt with food and copy canning. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first off, I got to tell you, do yourself a favor, let your mind wander for just a little bit. What in your life up until this point couldn't you have weathered with having 2 weeks worth of supplies and fuel and that kind of stuff on hand? So right now, I mean, yes, there's always those situations where they could be worse, but by having this extra hedge, this extra stockpile, whatever you want to call it, on hand, you have set yourself up to deal with 95% of personal and local disasters that you may end up having to deal with. So pat yourself on the back because you're also more prepared than 90 to 95% of the rest of the population. You're doing it. You're not doing it out of fear. You're doing it because you want to take care of you and yours. This is the important part, looking after your family. Okay. So from here, we are going to talk about health, first aid, and all of that stuff. So first off, health, for the most part, is free. And this is the area that I really struggle with. I won't lie. It's always been a struggle, but it's free for us to get our butt up off the couch and go for a walk. It's free for us to get our butt up off the couch and do a few sit-ups or push-ups or pull-ups or whatever it is. You know, we're any of these scenarios, any situation in your life can be made better by being healthier, right? Simple as that. There's just no other way around it. And what we put in, what we eat, find something that works for you and stick with it. I don't care if it's vegan. I don't care if it's keto. Find something that works for you, something that you can eat that you enjoy that also is good for your system. And find some exercise because, like I said, a lot of people come to me talking about preparedness with a state of anxiety in their mind. And if they're full of anxiety, one of the best ways to help deal with that, not in every situation, because I'm talking from personal experience here, but exercise and health are two things that can really help make a bad situation not get any worse. So first off, we can focus on our health. And again, that's a free area that's a free area. Now, next, are you on any prescriptions? Okay. So here's my little hint or tip. I came up with this on my own, but then heard smarter people than me talking about it, so I won't take credit for it, but I do love this little hint or tip. So all of my prescriptions, first off, I always fill 90 days. If the pharmacy will allow me and the doctor will write me a prescription, I fill it for 90 days because first off, when I fill it, especially if you have a health plan, I mean, you got to pay for it. You either got to pay for, okay, two things. If you fill a 90-day prescription up front, you're only paying one dispensing fee instead of 3 over 3 months. So that saves you a little bit of money. You do have to pay a little more up front, but you're always getting 3 months supply. And then instead of living, hand to mouth at the pharmacy and going in every month. Now, the next thing that's really cool. Now, not all drug plans allow this, so you need to find out. But mine allows me to fill 14 days early on a 3-month prescription. So what I do is I write down the date that I filled my prescription and I figure out exactly where that date will take me so that I have 14 days left of the prescription. And then I go in and I fill my next prescription just like that. So I'm still filling them. It's not really costing me anymore because I'm filling it 2 weeks early, but I'm still spending the same amount of money on a 90-day prescription. Then I take those 14 pills and I throw them in the last old empty bottle. And then I repeat that process again. So twice is a month. 6. So if you do that over 6 months, all of a sudden you've got an extra month of prescriptions on hand. So when you fill your 3 months plus that extra month, all of a sudden you've got 4 months worth of prescription on hand and not costing you anything extra. Now, some plans are only 7 days, some plans are 5 days. So find out what your plan allows if you have a drug plan, and start filling as soon as you can. That's the best way. Another way, you can always ask your doctor if they have free samples. A lot of doctors have a ton of free samples of pills. I was able to get a lot of my blood pressure medication years ago that way, and it was a huge help. So just find a way to build up a little surplus of your prescriptions. And also, something I didn't mention in my notes, but I should mention, make sure you keep a few days worth of prescription in your vehicle or in your hotel bag or your flying bag, just so you always have a little supply to get you by, because a lot of times things can be bad for a day or two, but usually you can find a doctor or a pharmacy that can help you out within a couple of days. And it's really nice to have. I have a 5-day supply in my truck. I have a 5-day supply in my carry-on bag for my luggage, and I have a 5-day supply for our hotel bag, just in case I forget to pack my pills, because I've done that before, right? So there you go. So that's prescription, that's health. And from there, next thing, we're going to talk about first aid supplies. So again, we're going to look at this like we did building a blackout kit, except this time we're building a first aid kit. And this is one of those areas that probably 50% of people have a lot of this on hand already. And 50% probably have like half a bottle of Tylenol and 1/8 of an ounce of cough syrup left in their container. So you're going to go around your house and you're going to see a lot of people keep this in one area. And if you do, great. Now, the first thing Becky and I, that's my missus, my wife, we did was we bought 2 see-through Rubbermaid containers with the gaskets. They have a rubber gasket in them and they lock down. So we can see through and see what we have, but they're completely waterproof. And if I throw them in the back of the truck in an emergency, shit ain't going to spill all over the place and go everywhere. So we've got them on top of my dresser in my closet at the house. So we have a central place. Now, take stock of everything you have in your home. And it's not that hard, but just see, okay? Start bringing it all together. Well, this is my extra prescriptions. This is my Tylenol. This is the cough syrup. This is the Gravol. This is the stuff I bought that I needed one time for our special eye drops. And I spent $45 on a tube of them, and I'll probably never use them again. So bring it all together. Throw away anything that looks damaged or, ruined, like if something leaked on it. Expiration dates are up to you. I certainly keep lots of stuff long past the expiration date, although I do try to keep fairly fresh stuff in my main first aid kit. So that's totally up to you, but things do seem to last a lot longer than what their best before date is. So there's that. Now, once you've brought everything together, do yourself a favor, make a list of what you have. Then, if you're going to do this by yourself or do this with a significant other, start making a list of all the things you use. Do you have kids? Okay, well, do you need kids' versions of all these medicines? Or are they old enough that they can take a smaller dose of the adult medicine? So figure out what you use. We keep like things like liquid NyQuil, Dayquil, cough and cold pills, just everything that you normally would treat. You would normally use your over-the-counter pills from the pharmacy to help treat symptoms. Cough drops, Tylenol, Advil, Robax, all of that kind of stuff. So make a list of everything you need and then go through and check off the stuff you have. Now, me personally, I like to have 2 of everything, an open package and a full package. And when I open that full package, then I go and buy a new full package. We're going to take the same kind of route that we took with food, and we're going to go and we're going to make a list and we're going to figure out, okay, what are the things that we need the most? What are we missing the most right now that we could absolutely use in the house? So you're going to pick those, and there's ways to save money on this kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of buying store brand stuff. So if you go to Walmart, it's Equate, and every pharmacy has its own in-house store brand. Now, by law, they have to have the same active ingredients in them. So as far as the ingredient that masks symptoms or makes you better, it's going to be the same whether it's Tylenol or acetaminophen Life brand at Shoppers Drug Mart. Okay, so you can save money doing that. My local pharmacy, IDA, if you're living in Alberta, they're great. They have a Toma brand, and they have this punch card that if you buy, I think it's 8, your 9th one's free. I wrote it down somewhere, but I believe, so you buy 8 store brand products and your 9th one's free. So there's a way to save just a little over 10% on anything. Plus you're already buying a little bit more. And I like to look because even the store brand comes on sale sometimes. So, I like to to get the store brand that's already cheaper, and now it's on sale, and I'm getting stamps. It's the best way to do it. It's a way to really stock up on your first aid. Now, you can do this a couple ways. You can do, focus on food and water first, get that done, spend that money, then move over to your first aid. Or if you've got it in your budget, you can work on food and first aid at the same time. So, it depends on what your budget's going to be. But I picked $15 a week will get you 2 first aid items. That's what I said, because stuff is expensive. I'm not saying it's not, but if you want to get, say, cough medicine and cough syrup. So if you put $15 total for 2 weeks, over 7 weeks, you're going to have 14 items. You're going to have a fairly reasonably well-stocked first aid kit if you put it, with your Band-Aids and everything else you already have in the house. So for $105, 14 items over 7 weeks, or 16 items over 8 weeks, because we've been doing most of this for a 2-month kind of run. So at that point, we're going to do the math here, and it's pretty darn good. You've got yourself a well-stocked first aid kit that really didn't take a whole lot of work to do. Now, once you have a fully stocked first aid kit, make a list of it. But what I like to do is when I'm organizing it, I put everything out on the bed and I take a picture of it so that if I go to the store, I don't just remember, I need acetaminophen, but I remember the brand that we usually get, or I remember the type, because quite often the missus will be like, hey, get me some flu medicine. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. So if you take pictures of it all, have a big master photo, and then keep it in your favorites on your phone, you'll be able to pick that stuff up just a little bit easier. So what'd you think? That wasn't too bad. Hey, 5 episodes, 15 minutes an episode. What is that? So 50, 25, 75 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes. And we dealt with getting you and your family set up for water, food, documentation and planning, fuel and backup power, and a pretty damn good first aid kit. $12 for water for a week or a little bit better. Food you already eat for $80. So now you got a week's worth of food. If you stretch that out, you can probably get it out of 2 weeks. $100 for an inverter generator that will run all of your major appliances other than a stove and a dryer. You just cycle through them. And a well-stocked first aid kit for $105. Plus all that planning and documentation was free. I think that is a pretty damn good start. So pat yourself on the back, be excited, do this, follow through with it. And when you're done, you might just say, you know what? I want to keep doing this. And maybe we'll do an update series where we go deeper dives into each of these topics. That would be great. But if not, you know what? $300, and you've now got your family basically set up for a week to 2 weeks worth of any emergency. And that, like I said, puts you so much further ahead than the absolute vast majority of people in North America. And at one time, this was just considered the normal thing we do. But you'll notice that maybe that fear, that anxiety will be gone just a little bit, because you're like, I listened to that crazy Canuck on the Workshop podcast, and now, darn him, I've got a bunch of food on hand. And then maybe you'll get motivated, because the biggest problem that I see when people come to me, it's 2 things. It's fear and it's overwhelmingness. Is that the right word? So number 1, they're scared to death. So right now it's Russia and Ukraine, right? Everybody's scared that there's going to be some sort of nuclear exchange, whatever. Well, you know what? Worrying about it, we can't control it, not even a little bit. But number 2, then they say, well, I'd like to do something, but I can't do it all. How do I build a year's worth of food supplies? An independent medical care facility? How do I store 10 years worth of fuel and, all of that all at once? Well, you don't, because if you tried to do that, you do nothing. So instead, what you do is focus on small wins and getting yourself set up for a week or 2. And once you're set up for a week or 2, you might find, damn, I'm addicted to this and I want to keep going. So there you go. I hope this really helps. I hope this series jumps out and grabs a few people and you're like, wow. And if it did, just let me know. I'd love to hear from you. You can email me at therealtimcook@gmail.com. I just love, and if you have any questions, I'm super accessible. You can send them to me through email or find me on social, whatever it is, and go by toolmantim.co. You can send me through the contact form there, and we can chat about it that way too, whatever you're comfortable with. Or if not, I'm just happy I could help. And I hope this makes a difference in your life, and I hope you're able to be a little more prepared to look after you and yours. So, guys, I tell everybody every week, I'm blessed and honored that you're willing to come and hang out with me here in the workshop. So, thank you. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.